Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Thanks for joining us. Here are your top stories.
These are initiatives that are underway, that the municipalities and the city of Windsor do need to take account for and participate in.
She was our queen, she was our sovereign, and for us to lead her to her final resting place, it means so much, and it's such an honor to be here.
The air mobility component this year, that's a big part of the Detroit Auto Show, and hopefully a big part of how people will get around in the future.
Windsor needs more power. An expert saying power constraints will one day be an issue. Council was just sent a report this afternoon pushing for solutions to potential spikes in electricity demand. The CBC's Jason Vio joins us live now with more from a nearby generating station. Jason, what is being proposed here?
Well, Katerina, one of the things is for the city to push the province to recontract the Brighton Beach generation station right behind me here in West Windsor. The company says it's the largest of its kind in all of Canada, and it produces up to 580 megawatts of electricity. And to put that into perspective for you, that is about half of what the entire city of Windsor used last year during peak periods. And all of this is needed because not only does Windsor need more power in the future, but so does the rest of the province, especially for investments that we know are coming, like the $4.9 billion battery plant that was announced earlier this year, but also for things that they hope to land. So they want to know that the capacity is there if people come knocking and want to open up in somewhere like the city of Windsor.
And Jason, what are some other solutions that Windsor can explore to help with some of these energy challenges?
Well, another idea is actually importing electricity from Michigan, so bringing it across the river here. They also encourage the city to push the province for green alternatives when it comes to that as well, power generation, and be open for the city of Windsor to host a future site that would generate power right here in our city. Now, the person who authored this report says she's not worried about all of this right now.
There is a call to action, but I wouldn't say that there's a need for alarm bells, right? So the call to action is that the municipalities, City of Windsor, should be prepared to engage with developers that want to build out electricity capacity. That would be the key takeaway message from the Power Advisory Report, is that there will be new electricity supply needed in the region. So let's make sure that we're all working together.
So another part of the challenge is not just creating power in the province, but also getting that power down to southwestern Ontario, in particular Windsor-Essex. So Ontario's electricity regulator has 5 projects west of London on the go to help with all of that. And to just kind of show you, take a look at this graphic. It's a double transmission line from Chatham to a new station planned in Lakeshore. And this again will help add voltage to Windsor-Essex. This is set to be operational in 3 to 4 years.
And Jason, how much should the average resident worry about all this?
So the possibility of brownouts, which are also known as partial power outages, isn't something that is of concern for the author of this report. At this point, she says that would only be the case if there wasn't any forward-thinking planning, but she certainly says that is ongoing at upper levels of government in terms of what the needs will be for electricity in the province and in this region in the future. So she says she's not worried about that because there's a lot of planning moving forward. And City Council is set to take a look at all of this at their next meeting later this month.
Thanks for this, Jason. CBC's Jason Vio live tonight. Police are continuing to investigate a bomb threat at Holy Names Catholic High School earlier today. The school and the area have since been cleared, but the situation was shocking to some who were impacted.
There's not much stuff that goes around like this. I'm really surprised right now. I'm just in shock.
This was the scene at Northwood and Dominion earlier today. The school was evacuated. Nearby traffic was blocked off for a few hours. And this morning, police had to ask the public to avoid calling 911 for details on the situation. The Catholic School Board says students were supervised throughout that time by school staff until dismissal, with safety, of course, top of mind. The board added that voice messages were also sent to parents with information. And as police continue to look into this, they do ask anyone with information to contact them. Police are also asking for help after finding a body in Windsor earlier this week. Officers were called to Dougal Avenue near the Superstore Wednesday night. There was a report of a body found by the train tracks. When police arrived, officers noticed that it was severely decomposed. The investigation is ongoing. The Forensic Identification Unit is going through evidence, but they have not yet been able to figure out who exactly this person was. The union representing 55,000 education workers in Ontario is back at the bargaining table with the province. CUPE is looking for higher wages for its members, and it will use the increase recently given to some Toronto Catholic board workers to bolster its case.
As of September 1st, the Toronto Catholic District School Board raised the hourly wage for its occasional educational assistants by $3.82.
The union says when they proposed a $3.25 an hour wage increase, they were met with what they call a lowball offer from the government of between 33 and 53 cents an hour. CUPE is just one of a handful of education unions currently without a contract. CUPE will open voting for members from September 23rd to October 2nd on whether to set a strike mandate. And here in Windsor, CUPE Local 543 workers have a strike mandate. These are City of Windsor's indoor employees. So people who work as building inspectors, bylaw officers, and in social services, for example. 77% of their membership say they are prepared for a work stoppage if needed. The union says that they've been negotiating for 11 months, but they say not much has happened at the bargaining table. They do not, however, have a deadline that would trigger a strike. The local president says wages continue to be an issue, and they've been without a collective agreement since the end of 2021. An extraordinary sight today in London, a lineup of mourners that stretched for kilometers waiting to file past the Queen's coffin. At the same time, Canadians began arriving for Monday's funeral. CBC's Chris Brown reports.
Officers! The world is converging on London for the Queen's funeral, including soldiers from Canada and Commonwealth countries. The New Zealanders performed a haka, a ceremonial Maori dance, for the Prince and Princess of Wales at a military training centre near the city. 80 Canadian soldiers are here, representing units the Queen had a special connection to. And they're rehearsing through the night for their roles.
When we turned on to the main stretch and we saw the flags and you saw the palace at the other end, I mean, it got very real for everybody.
She was our queen, she was our sovereign, and for us to lead her to her final resting place, it means so much, and it's such an honor to be here.
Meanwhile, the huge crowds of people hoping to pay their respects to the Queen before the funeral continues to grow. This line, the queue of all queues, continues to move tens of thousands of people through the city to Westminster Hall and ultimately past the Queen's coffin. Entry to the line was temporarily halted earlier today but is now reopened, with organizers telling mourners they can expect waits of up to 24 hours. While some VIPs, such as former UK Prime Minister Theresa May, were allowed to skip the line, other famous Britons, such as soccer star David Beckham, waited with everyone else.
Everyone feels the same, and that's why we all queued up today, because I think it's the right thing to do.
King Charles, meanwhile, visited Wales, where someone gave him a pen as a joke, just in case, they said.
Oh God, I hate this.
A reference to his much publicized frustrations with the official pens that didn't work.
Roedd lle arbennig.
He addressed the Parliament in Welsh, a language he learned before his investiture as a Prince of Wales in 1969.
I take up my new duties with immense gratitude for the privilege of having been able to serve as Prince of Wales.
By day's end, Charles and his siblings had returned to London for a more somber duty, another vigil at the Queen's side. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
For decades, an Ottawa man has been collecting memorabilia of the royal family and storing it in his basement. But it wasn't until the Queen died last week that he decided to bring it all out and realized just how much he had. CBC's Sana Choi got a royal tour of his extensive collection.
So if you want a plate of one of the royal members, I have it. If you want a mug, I have it. If you want a bell, I have it. I've been collecting royalty memorabilia since 1977, since the Silver Jubilee. And now this is the extent of it.
How many pieces do you think you have?
I have thousands of pieces. Like, this is just a few of the pieces that I have in my collection. I didn't realize how much stuff I had of the Queen. And from the coronation all the way to like all other events in her life, the Golden Jubilee, the Silver Jubilee, the Diamond Jubilee, and I'm waiting for something from the Platinum Jubilee. Don't have anything yet, so.
So do you go out searching for these pieces?
No,
or
they just find me, so. Friends know about this collection. I don't think they realize the extent of the collection, and every time, and mostly part of this collection is from them, because every time they leave or go on a holiday, they bring back a piece of memorabilia for me.
Do you have an estimate as to how much your collection is worth?
I have no idea. I didn't even realize that I had this much stuff until I started taking it out.
What piece means the most to you?
I think the piece that means the most to me is the painting that I commissioned by Corbidi. He's an Ottawa artist. I just asked him, I found out that he was doing portraits and asked him to paint a portrait of the Queen for me. And I just had two stipulations. It had to be the Queen from the 50s, and she had to wear a tiara.
What about their family fascinates you?
It's just their sense of duty, their commitment to their country and to the Commonwealth. And I've seen her in Ottawa so many times, but never personally got to meet her. And actually had the pleasure of joining in the festivities in London in 2012 for the Diamond Jubilee. That was just an incredible time. I was there for the flotilla when the Queen floated down. It's going to be an emotional day, but she had a great life. She's left a great legacy behind. I think she'll be remembered really fondly as a great monarch, so the longest monarch.
And will you continue collecting memorabilia?
I am, yes, and like with the new royals as well.
I'm sure you've seen them in the sky. That's the Icon A5, and they're part of this year's auto show in Detroit. It's a sport plane, and another example of how the show across the river is changing. Joining me now is Noah Collins, a senior director at Icon. That's the company behind these aircrafts. And Noah, I will ask about flying in one of those things in just a second. But first, why did you bring a plane to the auto show?
Yeah, great question. Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it. And the reason is because the air mobility component this year, that's a big part of the Detroit Auto Show, and hopefully a big part of how people will get around in the future, not only here in the US, but in Canada as well. So we're really excited to display this plane. We've been around about a decade in the commercial phase for about 5 years, where it's a light sport amphibious aircraft. And really, the company wanted to democratize personal flight and 3D mobility. So this is a big part of our mission. We wanted to produce a consumer-friendly, very safe, technologically advanced aircraft, and this is our first go, and we think it's a pretty big hit. In addition to world-class design, as you can see, it's a beautiful aircraft, outstanding engineering. And because of our spin-resistant airframe, it's one of the safest planes in all of general aviation. So why don't I take you inside?
Sure, yeah. Show me what it's like to be inside one of those. Yes.
So the canopy lifts up like this. People can hop on the sea wing. And as you can see from the inside, there's a lot of crossover with the automotive world. It was inspired by automotive technology and design. And as you can see, it's very easy and intuitive to fly. There's not a lot of things to look at, so it gets you to look outside and enjoy the view, and also makes us for a safer pilot.
And so who actually gets to go inside one of these right now? Who is it designed for? Who has access?
Yeah, so, right, Bob, but very good question. About 75% of our customers already own and operate other aircraft, and this is their aircraft that they take out for adventure fun and weekend travel. And the other 25% was really driven towards the mission, which was to democratize aviation. So people that have always wanted, that dreamed about flying and to get in and enjoy adventure flying, they decide to purchase one of these and enjoy the outdoors. Perfect, again, for Canada and enjoying the lakes north of Windsor and Toronto.
And how much does it cost to own one?
The base model is $379,000 US.
Wowzers. Okay, so people here in Windsor have been watching these aircraft fly across the Detroit River, and this is all part of the auto show. So what else might people see if they come and check out your aircraft?
Yeah, so there's other folks that are participating in the air mobility sector. So Air One is also here along with ASX, in addition to all the beautiful cars that are on display. And we are offering demos to folks that are interested in purchasing, as well as doing a lot of media and VIP flights out of the Coleman Young Airport, which is why you're seeing us fly up and down the river.
Awesome. Thanks so much for doing this, Noah.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having us.
That's Noah Collins. He's with Icon Aircraft at the auto show this year. And with that, let's take a live look outside there. This gorgeous sunny streak continues. More sunshine tomorrow, but we do have a chance of showers on Sunday, and that's also the day of open streets. I will be out at a booth looking to meet many of you to talk about the municipal election coming up. I want to point out that right here, we're looking at Riverside Drive. That section of road there will be closed on Sunday during open streets. That's from 10 to 2. So just be mindful when you're having to go places on Sunday. That certain chunk of the road is going to be blocked off. Stay with us. Dahlia Asher will be here after the break with more. Welcome back. Extremely heavy rains have caused deadly flash floods in central Italy. 10 people are reported to have been killed, with at least 4 others missing. The water caused extensive damage in several towns, flooding homes and businesses and piling parked cars on top of each other. Rivers breached their banks in some areas, and some farm fields remain under more than a meter of water. Rescue crews saved dozens of people who had climbed trees and taken refuge on rooftops to escape rising waters. And it's estimated the region received 6 months worth of rain in just 4 hours. It's time for a look now at our local weather. Dahlia Ashtrey is here. Dahlia, another beautiful day, but we might have a bit of rain on the way.
Yeah, you know, Katerina, I mean, listen, we're wrapping up summer soon. We're still getting that taste of summer, but I got to tell you, we still have those fall-like nights that we're feeling, and that's when you pop on a jacket like this and it keeps you warm. But for the day, listen, there's a lot of humidity that's on its way this weekend. So we get that taste of summer, and then, like you said, there is a chance that there will be some scattered showers towards the end of the weekend. But first, let's talk about the seasonal temperature and where we're at. So the normal high usually is 22 degrees. We're sitting well above that at 27, normal low 12. And we're sitting at 12. So we're sitting around, but then slightly above the seasonal temperatures, which is always nice. Now, Windsor right now, 26 degrees. Sarnia, 27. A little bit cooler out in Chatham-Kent, 24. But when I say cooler, I mean compared to Windsor. And then you factor in that humidex, and it feels like 31 degrees in Windsor right now. So this is what I mean by that taste of summer that we're continuing to feel. And then Sarnia, 32 degrees. Chatham-Kent, 30. Now, let's talk about what we're going to be experiencing tomorrow regarding the winds. It is a windy day tomorrow. I mean, look at that. Winds are gusting tomorrow morning, 28 kilometers an hour, and it will increase slowly. By 6 o'clock, it will decrease to 27 kilometers an hour, but then it will continue to get much stronger. Look at that, 39 kilometers an hour by Sunday morning. But again, you have that humidity, so factoring that in, it won't be so bad. And then 20 kilometers an hour by around 1 o'clock on Sunday. Now, we're talking about the rain. There is that warm front that's moving across Ontario right here, and with that comes that humidex factor with the dry conditions. So that's for today and tomorrow, the dry conditions. Now Sunday, look at that green strip right there coming from south of the border, right from Detroit, Michigan. We see that rain, and that will be making its way Sunday, actually just a little bit around 8 a.m. and then it will slowly make its way out. And then Monday is really when we see again those strong storms coming in at around 5 a.m. on Monday, and then we say goodbye to that and onto those clear skies. Tonight, temperatures will drop to 15 degrees, a little bit cooler out in London and Sarnia. And then let's take a look at your next 5 days. So Saturday, Sunday, like I said, Saturday dry, Sunday wet, same thing on Monday. Tuesday, dry again, but look at those, feeling like 30 degrees, feels like summer, and then feels like fall down there in the evening.
Thanks for that, Dahlia. Have a great weekend.
Likewise, you too, Katerina.
When we come back, we're going to go to the Toronto International Film Festival. Stay with us. There are no Russian films at the Toronto International Film Festival this year. State-sponsored movies have been banned as the war in Ukraine continues. But there is one Ukrainian filmmaker who is screening at the festival, and he finished his feature in the midst of the invasion of his country. CBC's Lisa Shing has his story.
In Antonio Lukic's second feature, twin brothers go on a road trip from Ukraine to Luxembourg to visit their estranged father who is dying.
It is an amazing miracle for us that we finished film and now have opportunity to show it.
During post-production, Russia invaded Ukraine. The crew scrambled, recovering material from hard drives and flash drives scattered across the city. That's as they scattered, staying to fight or fleeing the country. Lukic brought his family west, then to Europe. He returned to Kiev alone a month later, determined to see the project through.
That sync film literally gave us hope for life. So we felt that it's our mission to finish it, since we've been making it for 3 years, and know the potential of the film, that it could be the great Ukrainian representative at festivals.
Кажуть, родителі відповідальні за своїх дітей.
Luxembourg is inspired by Lukic's relationship with his own late father, whom he barely knew. And it's timely, as thousands of Ukrainian men are fighting in the war.
It's a film about absent parents, and war ruins not only buildings, war ruins families as well. And we had this generation of absent fathers during, after the Second World War. In the 90s was a generation of absent fathers, and now we will be faced with a huge generation of absent parents, which is really sad.
So in early September, Lukic and his team used the world premiere of the film at the Venice Film Festival to raise awareness about the impact of war. It premiered in North America at TIFF this week.
I'm a privileged one, I'm sitting in a normal clothes, wearing a suit, since a lot of my friends and people I know now not have such ability to appear in such beautiful places.
And now that the rest of the world has seen it, Lukic hopes he can eventually bring the film to audiences back home. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
That is it for CBC Windsor News. Thanks for watching, and be sure to come find me on Sunday at Open Streets. I'll be there from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Sandwich Town area. Come say hello, and we'll talk about the election. Have a good night.